Welcome back, artsy friends, to day 5. We're going to start out here. I did a little bit of prep ahead of time on my typewriter. I wanted to let you listen to the little clicky-clacky of the typewriter. It's always one of my favorite things to listen to. It had been quite a while since I pulled it out, and so when I thought about the prompt today, which is censored for day number 5 of the Ugly Art Club's 5-minute challenge, I thought might be fun to do a little bit of typewriter. I want it in the background, and so I did just some kind of journaling on the prompt of censored and where it took my mind to. I recently read the book Atlas Shrugged, and so my mind was kind of on that as well. So I just decided to prep ahead of time by doing some of that typewriting. Now, it can be easy to think for the 5-minute challenge, well, you should have to do that during the 5 minutes, but I don't know. I take that a little bit loosely. Well, because I can. It's easy to make really strict rules for ourselves, and that can either inhibit our playtime or it can help. But I don't think we should all be so hard on ourselves. I love to use pre-made elements when I'm art journaling. I'll make papers ahead of time, clusters, all of those things. And then that's what I actually use in my artwork. So I want this to be a realistic showing of how I create and bringing you along for the ride. I decided to turn the camera on while I was doing that typewriting just so that you could experience it a little bit with me. So I wanted it on a thin sort of paper, and so I actually glued 3 receipt tape strips together, and that just gave me the background of what I was typing on. After I did that, I went ahead and I circled the phrase that kept coming up in this, speak up or speak loud. Anytime it said speak, I decided to give it a little circle. And now with my black paint, it's more of a transparent black paint, which is what I wanted. I wanted to kind of cover up the rest of the words, but I like the transparency because you can still sort of see through it. You can still see that it's text. And if we think about the word censored, I just felt like it was a nice representation of that word. So I didn't use opaque paint, which would normally be my black gesso that I pull out, but I decided I really wanted to have that more transparent look to it. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit through the rest of this part. It gets a little tedious here, and we'll skip on to what I do next. After I was satisfied with the translucent kind of blackout look, I took my pencil and I circled those words a little bit more boldly so maybe you could see them a little bit better. And after this, I didn't have as much of a clear idea of what I wanted to do. I had the typewriter idea and I went with that, and then I just decided to get going. My timer did go off there. It definitely took longer than I thought it would to black out those words. I was trying to be careful not to cover up the words that I wanted to cover up, and so it did take me a little bit longer, but that's a lesson for myself throughout this entire challenge. Always, I think I can get so much more done in 5 minutes than I actually can. My time perception is not the best, but on the other hand, I am surprised always on how much I can get done. So I'm not the best when it comes to planning time and all that. So I had originally thought maybe I would keep this spread as just black and white, and then I typed up a little bit on my typewriter. It's you can go with a red ink on it or ribbon, and so I decided to add a little bit of that bold red color in there, and just to kind of frame out that prompt tab a little bit, and then decided to do a couple little fingerprints as well, just to give it a little bit of a pop. Overall, this spread is going to be more simple. Oh, I guess my timer just now went off. So I did get more done than I thought I would, but I'm deciding how I want to put this fabric on so that it can kind of be behind where the prompt is. I want the prompt to stick out as much as possible. Even though the words and stuff are kind of blacked out a little bit, it still is kind of distracting to have it as a background. But partly the background is also a focal point in this one, if that makes sense, just because it's more representational of the word that is the prompt for today. So I'm using a couple layered fabrics here and ripping and cutting them down to my desired sizes, and then I'll attach them to the paper itself. Sometimes when it comes to layering like this and adding on bits, you just have to keep playing around and tweaking the placement a little bit by little bit until you're happy with it. Other times it feels like you could just tweak it forever and never really get to it. So sometimes you just have to kind of go for it and commit to whatever you're doing and place it on the page. I decided to hold these 3 pieces together. I would take it to my sewing machine and do a couple just straight lines back and forth. That it adds in some texture, but it's a lot quicker than the hand stitching is. And I stitched it then to the actual piece of cardstock as well. All right, so I have been doing a complementary simple spread with all of these for the 5-minute challenge, and I really love the idea of that. I can focus on just the one spread that has more going on to begin with, but it also allows me to have like a full 2-page spread feel to it when it's done, and it really lets the focus be on the page that has more going on, whereas this one will just be a really nice complement to the main page. I'm sticking with that red that I used on the main page and using my fingerprint to make repetitive marks. The fingerprint is perfect because I used it on the first page, and so replicating that gives a lot of cohesion between the 2 pages, even though we're not completely copying what we did before. If we can keep some of those same vibes and those same elements going on, it makes the entire thing feel more cohesive. Next up, I added just a few scribble marks and then hit that with the heat gun just so that it dries a little bit quicker so I can keep moving on. I did type up a few different things on the typewriter when I was there. One I did with that red ribbon like I was talking about, and I just repeated the prompt word over and over, censored, and have it kind of offset each row. So yes, it is text. Yes, it does say a word, but I love that it's kind of creating a pattern all in itself. I love to think of text and words and letters being used as a pattern, not just saying something. I think that's a really fun way to include it in our artwork. Since I kind of had the fabric angled a little bit on the lower page that I did there first, the first page, I decided I would kind of angle that receipt tape that I put on with the red censored, and then it kind of looks like it's like slapped across the page, like if you were censoring something or blacking it out. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts behind it. I hope that you guys liked today's spread, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow for day number 6.